Hi, I'm Colin, and I'm an engineer working on code search. You know, our mission at GitHub is to build tools to make developers happier and more productive. And I'm a huge believer in the capability of great tools to make a difference in the lives of developers. For example, Codespaces, which lets developers forget about setting up their local machine and jump right into the code using the cloud. Or Copilot, which helps developers write code using AI. But developers don't just write code, they read it. Reading and understanding code is a hugely important task. If you're a developer, how many times per day do you have to answer questions like, what's the name of that script again? How does service A talk to service B? Who else in my company is using this API? And what does that parameter actually do? Answering questions like that is at the heart of what it means to be a developer. Luckily, developers are incredibly good at finding the information they need to do their job. Whether it's out there on the internet, on a forum, or in documentation, developers will find it. But a lot of the time, the answer's not out there on the internet. A lot of the time, the answers developers need are buried within the code. And that's why we've built the new GitHub Code Search, to help you search, navigate, and understand not only your code, but your team's code, your company's code, and the world's open source code. In December of last year, we launched our Code Search technology preview. Over 100,000 developers joined the waitlist and gained access, giving us tons of valuable feedback. Developers love the ability to instantly find relevant code, use our powerful code navigation, and dig through large and complex code bases. And for many developers, GitHub Code Search became an essential part of their workflow, something they depend on every day to find answers they need to do their job. We knew we had to bring this tool to all developers. And that's why today, we're bringing 3 powerful new capabilities to GitHub.com. The first is an entirely new search interface, allowing developers to construct powerful queries with suggestions, completions, and the ability to slice and dice the results. The second is our entirely new code search engine, capable of searching and even understanding code to bring you relevant results with incredible speed. And the third capability is an entirely redesigned code view, which tightly integrates search, browsing, and code navigation, allowing developers to rapidly traverse their code to find answers. Let me show you how it works. I'll start right here at github.com, and I'll click on the search bar at the top left. And right away, you can see our new search interface, a way for developers to construct powerful queries. I'll start by searching for code that I own. And you can see I immediately get suggestions for files and even symbols across all the repositories that I own. And if I click on one of these symbols, I'll jump right to its definition. OK, I'll try another search. At GitHub, my team is called the Blackbird team, and I've created a saved search to search across all the repositories that my team owns. Now let's imagine that I forgot the name of a script. At GitHub, we use an RPC library called twerp, and I know one of my teammates wrote a script to send a request from the command line, but I forgot the name and even which repository it's in. I'll search across all of my team's code for language shell and twerp. There it is. I can jump right to it. OK, I'll try searching now for a symbol in my code base. And now you can see the all-new search results interface. We've redesigned the search interface to make it super easy for developers to find exactly what they're looking for. On the left, I can filter my results by language, repository, or even file path. I searched for the term query stats, which is the name of a struct in one of my repositories. And notice that the definition is actually the first result. That's no coincidence. GitHub Code Search actually understands your code and brings you the most relevant results first. We've also put a lot of work into making our query language super powerful. We even support Boolean expressions like and, or, and not. For example, let me try to search for all of the code that's either in Markdown or ends with .txt. And then let's say that I want to filter out any code under the docs directory. I can do it in a single click, which adds a not term to our query. I think you can see how a powerful query language might unlock tons of possibilities for developers to find exactly what they're looking for. Now, a powerful query language is one thing, but another thing I'm super proud of is how fast our code search is. I'm going to search across all of GitHub's code for the regular expression git.star_push. And in just a couple seconds, we found over 1 million results. Think about that. We just use a regular expression to search over billions of files of code. That's only possible because we've built the new code search from the ground up with a focus on performance, so developers can find exactly what they're looking for and find it quickly. Okay, I've shown you the new search interface where developers can construct powerful queries, and our totally new code search engine, which finds relevant results with incredible speed. But that alone is not enough. For developers to search, navigate, and understand large code bases, there's one more missing piece of the puzzle, and that's the code view. We knew from the technology preview that finding the right search result is just the beginning of the journey. Developers need to search, browse, and navigate code, find definitions and references, and trace the path of the code through their code base. And that's why we've redesigned the code view from the ground up. Until today, this is what the code view looks like. The page has hardly changed since GitHub was founded. Here's a screenshot of the old code view from 10 years ago. With the new code view, we went back to the drawing board. And this is the result. We've put the file tree on the left side pane. This gives developers context and allows them to quickly find related files in the same directory. In the middle, of course, we have the code. And on the right, we have a new pane, something we're calling the symbols pane. It's designed to give contextual and symbolic information about the code you're looking at. Click on any symbol, and you can see its definition and references, both within the file and across the repository, and even across multiple repositories. This new interface, combined with the new code search engine, empowers developers to find critical information scattered across their code base. Let me show you a taste of what it can do. If you're familiar with React, you might know about the prop dangerously set inner HTML. Now, that prop can be a bit dangerous because it directly writes a string into the DOM. I'm going to search across all the code in GitHub/GitHub, which is the code behind github.com, for dangerously set inner HTML. And almost instantly, we found a few results. Now, this first result is a component called safe HTML, where we verify that the string being written into the DOM is totally safe. But this second result looks like it could be vulnerable. Let's dig in using the code view. I'll click on the result, and now we can see that this vulnerable prop is being used on line 48. It is part of a component called inner issues show page. If I click on inner issues show page, in the symbols pane, I can see its definition here on line 36 and a reference in this file on line 31. Let's check out where it's being used. It's being rendered here as part of another component called issues show page. This component could be potentially vulnerable. Let's see where it's being used. I'll click on it, and again, we can see the definition, and this time a reference in another file. Let's jump to that file and see where this potentially vulnerable component is being used. And immediately, I can see the exact URL where I can find this component. And I can see it's part of the React sandbox, which is just an internal testing ground. So we know it's totally safe. What we just did was use code search to find all the examples of a potentially vulnerable prop, then dig through and see where they're being used. Security teams here at GitHub use code search to find all the vulnerable instances of code affected by log4j. Now, my team writes a lot of Go. And if you're familiar with Go, Go routines are a way of spawning threads. And if you don't spawn them correctly and set them up correctly, they might not clean up after themselves. Let's search across all the code my team owns for where we spawn Go routines. I'll search Go func. And we instantly find a bunch of results. Now, I know that a particular bug is happening within one repository, so I'll narrow my search into that one. And I also know that this bug is isolated to the crawling system, so I'll narrow it into that directory. And here we can see a couple of results. One is a test, but the other is production code. Let's use the code view to look further. And here I can see all the examples of where Go routines are being spawned and make sure they're all being set up correctly. A couple weeks ago, my team used this exact search to find a bug in our code. OK, let me show you one last example. At GitHub, we use Kubernetes. Imagine if the platform team sends you a message and they say, we're running out of memory in our Kubernetes cluster. How much are your services using, and can they cut back? Let's try searching across all the code my team owns for language YAML, because that's how Kubernetes is configured, and memory. And we can instantly find all of the configurations for our services. Here I can see 2 GB of RAM are being requested for this service, and we have a limit of 5. Here, 1 GB and 10. I can send this link right back to the platform team, so we can find opportunities to save memory. I think you can see why so many developers have come to rely on code search every single day to find information buried in their code. We're starting our public beta today. If you have access to the code search technology preview, you'll automatically get access to these new features in github.com. If you're not part of the preview, sign up to be added to the waitlist so you can get started. What I've shown you today is just the beginning. We truly believe that powerful code search is an essential tool for every developer. Join our beta and help us make code search and code navigation on GitHub even better together. As you can see, I have a lot of work to do, so I'm going to get back to the code. But thanks for watching, and happy searching.